Hey, what's up? Welcome back. Patrick here from All Things Mathematics, and moving on to the next example dealing with statistics. Here we are given these two data sets and we have to find these three parameters: the mean, median, and mode. So fairly simple video. I'm first going to go through the process manually, and then at the end I will do it with the stats calculator, the Casio. I'll show you how to do the inputs and get the same values for these three parameters in comparison to how we're going to do it manually. So if you just want to see the inputs, you could feel free to forward the video to the end. If you want to see it also done manually, which with a lot of these questions I recommend, so you see from a higher level what's going on, and so you could understand what you're actually inputting in the calculator. This one is pretty simple though, so what we're going to do, let's first find the mean. So the mean is going to be what? What we always do is we sum up the observations and divide it by the number of observations. So notice how many data points do we have here? How many observations? Notice that there's 10. And if you were to take all these and sum them up, it would be 53. So 53 over 10, that's going to give us a mean of 5.3 like that. And then to find the median, what we have to do is we have to list these from smallest to largest. So let's do that. So we got what? 2, 3. There are 2 4s. There's a 5. There's a 6. There are 3 7s. And then an 8 at the end, like that, right? And then let's just count these to make sure. So 5 and 5. Okay, now the the median, remember, it depends on how we find it. It depends on if we have an odd number of observations or an even number of observations. Because if we have an odd number of observations, what's going to happen is there's always going to be an observation that's going to be in the middle, right? So for example, if we have like 13 observations, which is an odd number, we'll have like 6, 6, and then there's going to be that one observation that's in the middle, right? Or if it was like 15, it would be 7, 7, 1. And so the median with an odd number of observations is very simple to get. It's always going to be that middle term. But with an even number of observations, there's a bit of a calculation that's involved, because what's going to happen is with an even, it's always going to be split up, right? So if you have, for example, in our case, we have 10 observations, we'll have 5 and 5, like that. And so to get the median, what's going to always have to happen is we're going to have to take the last observation from the first half and the first observation from the second half, and we're going to have to average them out, add them, divide it by 2, right? So if we split our data up into 2 halves here, it's like this. And so we would take these two numbers here, right? The last one of the first half and the first one of the second half, add them up, divide by 2, basically the middle of them, right? Which is going to be 5.5. So that's going to be the median of this data set. It's going to be 5.5. And then the mode is basically the observation, or sometimes it could be multiple observations that have the highest frequency. So which one has the highest frequency? Well, we got 2 4s here, but we got 3 7s, right? So 3 7s occurring, that means the mode is 7. Now, if there were 3 4s occurring as well, we would have 2 modes, a 4 and a 7. But because there's only one frequency of 3, that's the highest frequency, the observation is 7, we would put the mode as 7. So the mean is 5.3, the mode is 7, the median is 5.5 for this first set of data. Now moving on to the second set of data, same thing, mean is going to be what? The sum divided by the number of observations. In this case, there's how many? There's 7 observations, right? So taking the sum of them, we get 441 divided by 7. We get a mean of 63. To find the median, what we have to do is basically, again, rewrite these from smallest to largest. So we have 261, so those go away. And then we have, oh no, sorry, see, you got to be careful. I missed actually the 57. So we got the 57, that's the lowest value. Then we got the 261s. Then we have the 64. And then we have the 65. And then we have the 66. And then we have the 67, like that. right? And now because this is an odd number of observations, right, the median, we're always going to have the middle term. It's going to be nice. So notice we got 3 values here, 3 values here, so the only one remaining is the 64, right? So let's write it here on the side. It's kind of getting a little messy. So the median is 64. For this data, it's just that middle term because we have an odd number of observations. It's not an even number, so we don't have to do that averaging out of the 2 middle terms. And then what's the mode here going to be? The mode which has the highest frequency? Well, notice the 61 is happening twice, right? That's the highest frequency. The rest have a frequency of 1. So in this case, the mode would be 61, like that. And now to show how it's going to work on the calculator, I got a calculator set up here. So let's start with this first data set. So this is the main menu here, and what we're going to do is we're going to go to Stat, and then you'll notice this lists come up, these charts here. So what you want to do is you want to input the data points in this first list. So we'll have 4, 7, 2, 4, 7, 8, 3, 5, 6, and then 7, like that. And then what you want to do is you want to go to CALC, so F2. And then before we check the values, you want to go to set F6 and just make sure that your 1 var x list is set to list 1, and then your 1 var frequency is set to 1. That is not referring to any list. We'll do questions in the future where we're going to actually have to refer to a different frequency. In this case, you want to just leave this as 1, and then you want to make sure that they are looking at the first list when they're going to be doing these calculations, right? So as long as that's all good, then you go to 1 var here, F1, and then notice that the mean is given, right? The x bar, that's 5.3, which is exactly the same as the mean that we got. And then if you scroll down, you'll notice that the median is given as 5.5, okay, which is what we got as well. And then you scroll down further, the mode is 7, which is what we got. All right, so that's for the first data set. Now for the second data set, a couple things you could do. You can, if you want, erase everything in list 1 and then input the new values from the data set in part B. But you could also input the points from part B in the second list. And then what we can do is we could just change our reference to be to the second list. So we'll have 65, 61, 67, we'll have 61 again, and then we'll have 57. So then we go to set over here, and then what we can do is instead of list 1, we're going to be looking at list 2, right, when we do the calculation. And so going back, we go 1 var, notice the mean is 63, which is exactly what we got. Scroll down a little bit further, the median is 64, which is what we got, and then the mode is 61, which is what we got as well. All right, so that's how the same parameters can be retrieved using the stats calculator. And that is the end of the video. Hopefully you enjoyed that. If you want to find more videos like this, you can go to my website, allthingsmathematics.com. Over there, all my courses are organized for both high school and university. All the videos are organized by chapter. Also, if you have any questions, you can hit me up. My contact details are also on the website. Enjoy your day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.